Hey, what's up? This is Uberox. Recently, there have been a lot of questions regarding T9 and T11 plugins, particularly the cross-class plugins, and which ones are the best ones. So today I'm going to go over which are the best plugins that you should be using. So let's get right to it. I would only recommend that you level up your Brain plugins to level 10. And the reason is because you want to have that versatility to be able to swap out between the different plugins depending on the commander or the situation that you're facing. If you go past that, you're going to be stuck with that plugin for the most part because it becomes very expensive to replace. And I feel like the versatility of being able to swap, for example, between Super Immunity and Sonar and Steam Cannon at will is something that I wouldn't really want to give up just to get something to level 30. So first of all, the best plugins for infantry are going to be Wings of Eternity and Sleep Bomb. And if you're going to do a full march, the skill Dual Blades is also very useful. However, normally at T9 and T10 or even T11, you're probably not going to be full marching in Galactic Battle simply because T12 is just too powerful, so you're going to be using one slot bust a lot. So if you don't have those, Sniper right here and Twin are also very good choices to use. Everything else may have a place, but definitely the tier 1 plugins for infantry are going to be Wings of Eternity and Sleep Bomb, and then the tier 2 plugins would next be Sniper and Twin. For walkers, the best 3 plugins are going to be Steam Cannon, Super Immunity, and Sonar. So as a commander that can use walker skills, so for example Air can also use walker skills, you're going to want to have all 3 and switch between the 3 depending on who you are fighting against. So for Air plugins, your options are limited a bit more. Mini Nuke is alright for an extra little guaranteed hit. Shockwave is also very nice because you can surprise your opponent with it. For example, if you're using Tier 9 infantry or if you're using Tier 11 walkers on the server, you can surprise your opponent with a Shockwave because everyone knows not to send a Ranger in slot 1 against a Dragon Slayer, but they may not expect that you have a Shockwave on one of your infantry or walker troops, so you can surprise someone like that on the server. In Galactic Battle, Shockwave is not really that useful, but on the server at level 1, Shockwave can be very deadly just simply because of the surprise factor. If you're running airships on a commander that does not have a guaranteed hit, Breakdown can be good just for the guaranteed hit. It's not going to do a lot of damage. The all-class skills like Energy Absorption and Napalm Bomb, they can be okay, but I would classify them as a tier 3 skill. They're okay. They're not going to really turn any battles into your favor. They may save you some troops. The Napalm Bomb can be funny if you're able to survive and blast them with a level 10 napalm. It does a little bit of damage. Of course, the best offense is a great skill, but it's very expensive, so it's not something that I would really recommend for tier 9 to tier 11 players. I also want to mention Backstab is an interesting skill. Even if you have a guaranteed hit, you can actually use Backstab in place of something like Mini Nuke, because it is a 30% chance, so it's slightly better, although it is a bit more expensive to get since you need a Hubarian medal. That would be very useful for an extra little guaranteed hit. It's slightly better than Mini Nuke, and on those guaranteed hit commanders that you can't put another 40% skill, a 30% skill is still going to be better than nothing. So I'm going to go over some of the most commonly used commanders and how you should be using their plugins. If you are a Dragon Slayer with tier 10, Sleep Bomb is going to be by far the best choice for you to be using. You'll be able to one slot bust and you'll have a 60% chance basically to not take any damage, which is fantastic when you're one slot busting. There really is no other choice for a tier 10 Dragon Slayer using infantry. If you're using air, then you're gonna have to go ahead and use either Mini Nuke or Backstab. It isn't really quite as good. Honestly, if you're at tier 10 and you're gonna use Dragon Slayer, Sleep Bomb is definitely worth it because you're one slot busting, tier 10 does a lot of damage, and so you're going to be able to deal much more damage with infantry compared to airships, plus you'll get the benefit of having that sleep bomb. So for Vega at tier 9 and tier 10, sleep bomb is going to be very useful for you, similar to Dragon Slayer. If you're using tier 11, you could also use backstab or mini nuke for an extra guaranteed hit, but like I said, as a tier 9 or tier 10 player, you're likely going to be one slot busting most of the time. You're probably not going to be full marching too much unless you're on the server, which is also pretty risky to full march, so we're mostly talking about galactic battle here. I still would recommend sleep bomb over another guaranteed hit, just because being able to survive an attack will give you another chance, whereas yeah, if you use a backstab, you have that extra 30% chance to hit your opponent, but at the same time, you're not getting a breakdown, or you may not get a breakdown, which is the main way that Vega deals his damage. So I would classify another guaranteed hit as like a tier 2. Sleep bomb is definitely gonna still be the best choice. Same thing if you're running tier 11 airships, you do have that choice of using infantry, so I would go ahead and still use sleep bomb because sleep bomb is amazing. For Stella, you're going to be one slot busting a lot, and the best plugin for her is definitely going to be sleep bomb. You could use sniper, but as I said, sleep bomb is definitely the best because she has Wings of Eternity. The sleep bomb proc rate is extremely high, so when you're dealing with someone else, if it's a one slot bust, you're almost guaranteed to win, and if it's a full march, you're almost not going to take any damage at all. So even though Stella's damage isn't that high, she's very low risk now if you use sleep bomb on her. For Hubarian, there really is only one choice, and that's going to be Wings of Eternity. For walkers, you really have that choice between those 3 skills that I just mentioned, and you really just need to choose depending on what commander you're going to be facing against. So Elf is kind of a special case where Wings of Eternity can work really well on her, since she can one slot bust with it and use Wings of Eternity to hopefully stack a bunch of curses. Although I do think there are better choices for one slot busting, although if that's the only commander that you have that can do a one slot bust, it definitely works alright. If I were to use Wings of Eternity on Elf, I would definitely see who I was going up against and see if that would be a good choice to use. If you have First Strike, you can definitely try to go ahead and use it, but at the same time, if you're going to be one slot busting, if you have the option of using a different commander like Hubarian with wings, you're going to be able to do a lot more damage with it. Of course, there are certain situations where it may be better. For example, if you have a large number of troops and the opponent has a 6 slot formation with a small number of troops and you have Wings of Eternity, you may be able to wipe it out completely. But at the same time, Dragon's Lair can kind of do the same thing. The Wings of Eternity build, it's okay. I would classify it as around tier 2. Not bad, not amazing, but it is fun when it does work. Normally, I think the safest pick is going to be Steam Cannon for walkers. However, it may not always be the best choice because, for example, if you are facing someone like infantry or airships who you won't gain any benefit from using Steam Cannon on, you can use sonar to be able to hit infantry. Or if you are using someone who's going to debuff you, you can use super immunity, and those are both great choices. Really, it just depends on who you're fighting. Those are the 3 choices. And if you're playing airships, you also have this choice. Black is becoming more and more popular nowadays, and if you're running T10 or T9 on Black, definitely sonar is going to be your best choice, since Black does not have a guaranteed hit. So the sonar will definitely give you all the guaranteed hit that you will need, and that basically covers his main weakness, which is not having a guaranteed hit. For Hancock, it's the same deal. You want to be choosing between either having that guaranteed hit from sonar, the super immunity for facing other commanders, although if you're running against Steam Cannon, you may want to run Steam Cannon of your own. Right now I have Spirit Sword on him. That's simply because I put sonar on my rock and I still want to have a guaranteed hit, so Spirit Sword is kind of like a second choice, with Hancock, it doesn't really matter too much, since once you're debuffing the enemy, you're really not worried too much about missing, because eventually you're just going to hit them and then they're just going to get one shot. So regarding cross-class skills, Wings of Eternity is going to be used for walkers and infantry, and you're gonna want to be using wings on commanders who have spells that aren't affected by the reduced damage of the wings. For example, Elf is a good choice since her curse is able to trigger and it's not reduced. Interestingly enough, Maruku is actually a good choice, which is why I'm leveling up his skills now, because Napalm Bomb is actually similar to Elf's curse, but it's single target, it does more damage, and when you trigger wings, it can stack up together and eventually be doing a lot of damage. Plus, you also have that sneak attack, which will always deal its damage as long as you hit when you use Wings of Eternity. I would not recommend putting Wings of Eternity on any commander whose skills will be scaled down. For example, a Ghillie would not benefit really from using Wings of Eternity unless it was at level 30. But like I said, I don't really recommend getting your skills to level 30 because you're just going to be stuck with it. And the thing is, let's say you put Wings of Eternity level 30 on Ghillie, but what if one day you want to switch to someone else? Well, then you're going to be losing a lot of plugins and it's going to be very expensive. Hancock is also a great choice if you want to do the cross class with the Wings of Eternity, although sometimes I feel like it is a bit overkill to be using Wings of Eternity on Hancock. But it is a choice that you can use, and sometimes it works, although you have to be careful running into Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia really just shuts it down, and since Hancock is already vulnerable to Cassiopeia, I do feel like it is a bit overkill. So usually on my Hancock, I kind of just avoid Walker commanders with Cassiopeia altogether, or you can run Steam Cannon, but at the same time, even if you run Steam Cannon, you usually won't be able to stack up enough Feral Strengths to be able to take them down. Now for T11 Infantry, I would still be recommending the same skills. Sonar is going to be very useful, Steam Cannon can be very useful, Super Immunity also very useful. Really, these three skills for Walker are just going to be great skills depending on how you want to use them. As T11 Infantry, you're going to be able to take advantage of all three, although you do have to consider Wings of Eternity, if your commander can use it, is probably the best skill to use if your commander is able to utilize it. Otherwise, Sleep Bomb is a great choice, so you really have to consider whether or not you want to go and cross-class into the Walker skills. It may benefit you, but at the same time, you do have to consider, do you want to use Sleep Bomb instead? So that about sums it up. If you're using tier 9 or tier 10 or tier 11, if you have a dual class, your best choices are always going to be either using Wings of Eternity or Sleep Bomb if you have that infantry subclass, or if you're using Walker, it's going to be Sonar, Super Immunity, or Steam Cannon. And if you have to use Air, you don't really have a lot of good choices. It's going to be Mini Nuke, which is not going to be as good as everything else, or if you're on the server, you can use that Surprise Shockwave to surprise your opponents. So I hope that clears things up, and I hope you learned something. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave me a like. It'll help me a lot. And subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, because if you don't subscribe, then you're letting the YouTube algorithm decide what you want to watch. And you know what? Why don't you take control and decide what you want to watch? Just subscribe and you'll be able to see more videos like this. Okay, so I want to wish you a good evening or a good afternoon or a good morning wherever you are, and remember to stay happy and healthy.